together. So they're talking about the Great Barrier Reef, जिसके अंदर वो कहते हैं कि हाँ coral grows best on rock and they all have a mutualistic relationship. A scientific study found that higher sea temperature in 2016 caused the worst destruction of corals ever recorded on Australia's Great Barrier Reef. Many scientists believe that the increase in sea temperature is the result of an increase in carbon dioxide in the atmosphere. About 70% of coral died in the northern section of the reef. One of the worst hit areas was around Lizard Island in North Queensland, where almost 90% of the coral died. The situation was better in the central section, where only 5% died. The southern section of the reef was healthy. Scientists warn that recovery of the coral reefs will be difficult if the climate change continues. Some coral that is the result of overheating. However, far more coral has been lost through bleaching. Coral bleaching क्या होती happens when sea temperatures rise for a long period of time. The algae cannot survive, so the coral starves. The pigments in the algae give coral its color. After bleaching, the coral appears white because it is now without the colorful algae that provides its main source of energy. Some coral survive the higher sea temperatures. However, another study has found that this coral has now come under increased threat from predators such as snails and the crown of thorns starfish. Scientists are hopeful that the reef is capable of recovery, but fear it may not have opportunity as sea temperatures continue to rise. The Australian government has published recommendations and long-term sustainability plan for the coral reef. So what is meant by the term ecosystem? Ecosystem basically क्या होता है? It's a group, या आप उसको community कह सकते हैं, or you can call it an area, या where all the living organisms, there's no specific species or anything, where all living organisms, you can say in a community. Now if I talk about living organisms, I can have all species, different species, all kinds. It's not a population, it's not a specific community. We can have species of all kinds, and this ecosystem is itself an environment. ये क्या होता है? बस एक environment है, also made up of biotic and abiotic factors. Living and non-living factors होते हैं, biotic and abiotic factors included होते हैं इसके अंदर. Suggest how the mutualistic relationship between the small animals and the algae inside them is of benefit to both species. Mutualistic क्या करता है? एक benefit क्या होता है between the small animals and the algae? हम line 6 and 7 पे जाते हैं. हाँ, animals and algae have a mutualistic relationship. मतलब कि both benefit from each other. तो कैसे benefit कर सकते होंगे? For example, animals are getting food. और फूड में क्या आता है? बेसिकली हमारा जो फूड होता है वो क्या है? बेसिकली कार्बोहाइड्रेट, ग्लूकोज है. ठीक है, एनिमल्स आर गेटिंग फूड एंड ऑक्सीजन. ठीक है, आप कह सकते हैं फॉर द एनर्जी. अब ये कैसे बेनिफिट कर रहे हैं? नाउ व्हेन दे आर गेटिंग ग्लूकोज दे रेस्पायर, द एनिमल्स आर रेस्पायरिंग, एंड व्हेन दे आर रेस्पायरिंग CO2 is produced. Now that CO2 is actually benefiting the algae. वो क्या कर रहे हैं? इट इज एक्चुअली बेनिफिटिंग दी एल्गाई. तो आप ये देख सकते हैं फिर क्या होता है? एल्गाई गेट्स कार्बन डाइऑक्साइड. दे बोथ म्यूचुअली they have a mutualistic relationship, both benefit from each other. जैसे ट्रीज और ह्यूमंस को देखिए, वी प्रोड्यूस ऑक्सीजन, ट्रीज प्रोड्यूस ऑक्सीजन, वी इनहेल ऑक्सीजन, वी एक्सहेल कार्बन डाइऑक्साइड, ट्रीज इनहेल कार्बन डाइऑक्साइड. So explain why coral grows best in shallow clear water. क्यों shallow clear water के अंदर ये ग्रो करता है? क्या लिखा है बस, a grown is found in shallow clear water. तो उसकी क्या वजह है कि वो shallow में सबसे अधिक ग्रो होते हैं? आंसर इज कि it can get more sunlight. कैसे more sunlight? Because it's on the surface. It's on the surface. इससे क्या होगा? More light means more photosynthesis. Suggest why coral grows best in moving water. Moving water के अंदर coral कैसे best move कर लेता है? तो हम उसकी बात करते हैं now. इसने क्या कहा? Explain why coral grows best in moving water. Moving water के अंदर होती है algae. ये हमने ऊपर पैसे में देखा that moving water contains algae. Now due to the mutualistic relationship, obviously they have to benefit from algae. They have to benefit from algae. इसके बाद they have to remove the waste, क्योंकि वो जो वेस्ट प्रोडक्ट्स है, फॉर एग्जाम्पल द वेस्ट प्रोडक्ट कार्बन डाइऑक्साइड दैट इज एब्जॉर्ब बाय द एल्गी। ठीक है, जैसे कि आप यहाँ पे रिमूव द वेस्ट में लिख सकते हैं, CO2 एक रीजन है बहुत बड़ी। अदर देन दैट यू कैन से इट नीड्स मिनरल आयंस प्रेजेंट ओवर देयर, इट नीड मिनरल आयंस। तो ये दो आपके पास रीजन है, बिकॉज इट हैज टू म्यूचुअलिस्टिकली बेनिफिट फ्रॉम एल्गी आल्सो, दैट इज व्हाई इट इज इंपॉर्टेंट। Suggest how scientists are able to find the percentage of coral that is died in the section of their reef. आप कभी भी स्पीशीज को कैसे चेक करते हैं? Organisms and the environment, we studied one thing known as a quadrat. If you remember what a quadrat was, it's a kind of a frame. वो एक frame होता है that is thrown using a random number generator, whatever number it shows, आपने उसको उस point के ऊपर फेंकना होता है, and then it counts the number of species present on the grid. जो भी आपके पास grid में कितनी species आई, तो first you can write that they found it using a quadrat. ठीक है, quadrat को उन्होंने कैसे किया यूज, using a number generator, chose specific area. आपने एक एरिया चूज कर लिया कि yes I am going to check it on this specific area, then throw the quadrats randomly, count the number of species. ठीक है, you can record them. फिर आप क्या कर सकते हैं, repeat the experiment, you can repeat the experiment. ठीक है, रैंडम नंबर जनरेटर क्या होता है, बेसिकली इट्स लाइक अ डाइस, आप डाइस घुमाते हैं, गिव्स यू अ नंबर। देन आप क्या कर सकते हैं, नाउ कैलकुलेट, आप क्या करें, कौन कौन से काउंट करेंगे, यू वुड काउंट काउंट द लिविंग, देन काउंट द डेड, ऑल्सो काउंट द टोटल। उस टोटल में से आपने लिविंग भी काउंट करने, डेड भी काउंट करने। नाउ अब आप परसेंटेज निकालें, परसेंटेज आप कैसे निकालेंगे, समथिंग लाइक दिस, यू कैन से दैट डेड into 100 divided by total। जो आपने यहाँ से डेड निकाले होंगे, that would be used in this formula to calculate the percentage। Give one reason why coral that survives higher sea temperatures is under increased threat from predators, line number 22 to 24। Some coral survives the higher sea temperatures। ठीक है, तो higher sea temperatures वाले is under increased threat from predator, वो कह रहे हैं the coral which is there in higher sea temperatures जो survive कर रहे हैं, they are more prone to be attacked by predators। Why would that be? क्या आंसर हो सकता है इसका? That give one reason that coral survives higher sea temperature, because you can say that there is less food। बल्कि if you don't write this, you कह सकते हैं there is less coral to eat, there is less coral to eat। तो इसलिए आपके पास सर्वाइव कर, जब है ही नहीं, when you have no coral left, then obviously whoever the predator is won't find anything to eat and आपका coral survive कर जाएगा। Suggest what recommendation should be included in the sustainability plan for the coral reef। coral reef के अंदर क्या क्या sustainability plan हो सकते हैं? For example, algae is not always present, algae is not always there, so how to remove carbon dioxide? We can remove CO2 by reducing greenhouse effect, reducing greenhouse effect, which is one of the ways of reducing global warming। फिर reduce the use of, this is all included in my slide, reduce the use of CFCs या फिर मीथेन, ठीक है, and any other kind of harmful gases, जैसे कि CFCs हो गए, ओजोन हो गया, नाइट्रस ऑक्साइड, सल्फर डाइऑक्साइड, ठीक है, सल्फर ऑक्साइड्स। ऑल्सो यूज लेस फॉसिल फ्यूल्स, मतलब कि यूज लेस ऑयल, लेस पेट्रोल, लेस coal, less natural gas, use renewable energy sources, use renewable energy resources instead of fossil fuels। इसके बाद you can say that plant more coral। So these are some of the sustainability plan क्या होता है? Something that remains for a long time is known as sustainable। The leaves of the plants make starch, Describe how you would test a leaf to show that it contains starch. तो हम कैसे टेस्ट करेंगे कि इसके अंदर starch है? What we'll be doing is, first of all, take the sample of leaf. ठीक है? Now, then take a boiling tube. Use some warm ethanol, or आप alcohol का कोई no, just mention ethanol. Use some warm ethanol in a water bath. Okay. Heat the solution. अब solution के अंदर क्या क्या है? Basically, this is something what's happening. This is a water bath. ठीक है, यहाँ से आपने इसको heat देनी है. This is some water inside. You have actually dipped the boiling tube. यहाँ पे आपने थोड़ा सा उसको dip कर दिया है. You have alcohol inside with the sample of leaf. आपके पास जो leaf का sample है, that is also present inside. Sample of leaf आपके पास ये रहा. This is your boiling tube. Warm alcohol ये रहा, and you will be heating the solution from here. Now, उसके बाद आप क्या करेंगे? Use iodine solution. Use iodine solution. If it turns blue-black, starch is present. If it remains orange, starch is negative. Starch is not present. टेस्ट का नाम नेगेटिव या पॉजिटिव होता है, स्टार्च तो प्रेजेंट या नॉट प्रेजेंट होती है. The diagram shows the structure of part of the leaf. Explain the differences between palisade mesophyll and spongy mesophyll. ये आपके पास spongy mesophyll cells भी हैं, ये आपके पास palisade mesophyll cells भी लगे. Now you have to differentiate them both. Now अगर हम ध्यान से देखें तो शेप पे देखते हैं पहले. Shape is so rigid and so regular when we talk about palisade mesophyll cell, whereas there's an irregular shape in spongy. Spongy have irregular shape and arrangement. जो palisade है, palisade have rigid shape and proper arrangement. इसके अलावा you can also mention that palisade are present on top, spongy नीचे आते हैं, spongy below palisade. Other than that, you can say yes, spongy mesophyll cells have less chloroplasts because they do not carry out photosynthesis. Palisade mesophyll cells, they are present on the top to absorb the sunlight. Palisade have more chloroplasts. Other than this, palisade absorbs sunlight, spongy don't. क्योंकि नीचे below side पे है, spongy don't. क्या differences होंगे? Yes, spongy can allow gas exchange due to air spaces. Exchange due to air spaces. Palisade cannot. If you see कि ये air spaces भी होती हैं between में, these air spaces, they allow the gas exchange. Palisade mesophyll cells do not have air spaces. That is why they cannot perform. A student uses this method to investigate the roles of leaves in transpiration. Remove 4 leaves from plant, cover the upper surface with petroleum jelly, cover the lower surface of one leaf with petroleum jelly, cover both surfaces of one leaf with petroleum jelly, keep one leaf uncovered. This is your fourth and this is your control. इधर क्या है? Upper surface only. यहाँ क्या है? Lower surface only. और यहाँ क्या है? Both surfaces. In total we have 4 leaves. अब इस petroleum jelly का क्या काम है? Basically we'll be finding that out. And then suspend the leaf for several hours. First measure the initial mass, then measure the final mass, and check if there is a difference. After several hours, the student measures the mass of each leaf again. The graph shows his results, mass before and mass after. So obviously mass after आपके पास less ही है, mass before was more. The student concludes that transpiration occurs mainly from the upper surface of the leaves. Evaluate this conclusion. अभी हमें कंक्लूजन कैसे एवेल्यूएट करेंगे? नाउ जस्ट थिंक, अपर में ज्यादा मास लॉस्ट हुआ है या लोअर में? देयर हैज बीन अ मोर मास लॉस्ट in upper side. There's a little mass lost in the lower side, which means it carry out more photosynthesis. The upper side leaf carried out more photosynthesis, produced more water, and more water was lost, whereas lower side did not carry out much photosynthesis. They did not produce much water, and that is why they were not able to excrete all these waste gases. तो हम क्या कर सकते हैं? तो कहते हैं, the student concludes that transpiration occurs mainly from the upper surface of the leaf. अब हमें कैसे पता लगे कि स्टोमेटा बिलो होता है या ऊपर होता है? Now we have stated that mass is lost mainly from the lower side. ठीक है, ऊपर तो आपके पास क्या होता है? Mass is lost when upper side is covered. जब upper side covered होगी तो नीचे से mass lost हो जाएगा. या हम ये भी कह सकते हैं उसके सपोर्ट करने के, the least mass was lost in upper surface one. जबकि आपके पास थोड़ा सा डिफरेंस किसमें था? The opposite of that. ठीक है, यहाँ पे आप vice versa वो कर सकते हैं, no matter. इसके बाद you can say that the stomatas are also present at the lower surface, not on the upper surface. Hence, transpiration occurs mainly from lower side of the leaf. So I am basically disagreeing with the student. Disagree with the student. Why? Because the student has said, student क्या कहता है? It occurs mainly from upper surface of the leaf. The upper surface does not even have stomatas. Stomatas are all present at the lower side of the leaves. Moving on, bags made from starch are better for the environment than plastic bags made from fossil fuels. Bags made from starch are decomposed by organisms such as soil fungi. Which of these is a feature of fungi? Chloroplast and cytoplasm? Starch stored in the cytoplasm? No. यहाँ पे glycogen होती है. Remember, storage जो होती है, yesterday I was telling my student also कि याद रखना, animals, all organisms store carbohydrates in one or other form. Animals store carbohydrates in the form of glycogen. Fungi stores carbohydrates in the form of glycogen. Only plants are there who convert carbohydrates into starch. So which of these features, thread-like hyphae, is present in fungi? Walls made up of cellulose. This is an example of plants, not of fungi. Fungi की किससे बनी होती है? Fungi की cell wall बनती है chitin से. What is it? What is the bacteria cell wall made up of? Peptidoglycan chains. The soil fungi releases an enzyme called amylase that digests the bag. What is the product of this digestion? अब वो कह रहे हैं, हमने वो बताना, तो वो कह रहे हैं they are breaking down carbohydrates. ठीक है, डाइजेशन में क्या हो रहा है? We have carbohydrates stored. अमाइनो एसिड्स तो तब होते हैं जब आपके पास प्रोटीन्स होती हैं. फैटी एसिड भी तब होते हैं जब आपके पास लिपिड्स होते हैं. ग्लिसरॉल भी आपके पास लिपिड्स में होते हैं. Only maltose is there in glucose and is the only possible disaccharide product of digestion. Amylase is a protein. Describe how protein is made in a cell. आपने पूरा protein synthesis का यहाँ पे बता देना. Where would we start? The first process होता है आपके पास transcription. ठीक है, ट्रांसक्रिप्शन में क्या होता है? mRNA is produced by the help of DNA. By the help of DNA. Moreover, this mRNA now leaves the nucleus. It now leaves the nucleus, joins at the ribosome. अब वो राइबोसोम क्या है? इनसाइड द साइटोप्लाज्म. राइबोसोम्स के ऊपर आके अटैच हो जाएगी वो mRNA की चेन. Now what happens is now we start with translation. Translation में क्या होता है? We have a tRNA molecule जिसको हम transfer RNA कहते थे. tRNA brings codons. tRNA brings, हम यहाँ normal लिख देते हैं, attached amino acid triplet and match it with the sequence on the mRNA chain. उसके बाद क्या होता है? आप यहाँ पे लिख सकते हैं कोडॉन एंड एंटी कोडॉन की वो हो जाती है, आप क्या कहते हैं, कॉम्प्लीमेंट्री बेस पेयरिंग. दिस आल्सो हैपेंस इन ट्रांसलेशन, कॉम्प्लीमेंट्री बेस पेयरिंग. फिर फॉर्मेशन ऑफ पेप्टाइड बॉन्ड्स. फाइनली मेक्स a protein. Transcription and translation. A student investigates the effect of soil pH on the decomposition of bags made from starch. She uses this method: cut 2 small squares from a bag, measure the mass of each small square, place 1 square in the pH of 7, एक को हमने रखना pH of 9 में. After 10 days, remove the squares and measure the mass. Again, the table shows the student's result. तो percentage lost in mass हम कैसे निकालेंगे? 1 into पहले वाली की किस तरह निकली हुई है? 1 into 100 divided by at the start, वो 2 था. तो अगर मैंने percentage loss चेक करना है, मैं यहाँ पे कर लेता हूँ. कैसे? अगर मैं चेक करता हूँ कि मेरा percentage lost कितना हुआ है, first I will check 2.10 minus 0.62 divided by 2.10 into 100. तो ये मैंने यहाँ भी करना ही था. पहले आप क्या करेंगे? You would first subtract, then divide by initial, and then into 100. तो आपको percentage somewhere around 70% आ जाएगी. Calculate the difference between the percentage loss for the two squares. तो पहली वाले का let's say answer 70 आया. इस वाले का क्या था? percentage lost 50. We only have to calculate the difference. So 70 minus 50 is equal to 20. So the difference would also be around 20. Explain how the student could improve her method so that she can obtain more accurate results. अब more accurate के साथ क्या वो कर सकते हैं? First of all, experiment क्या था? भूल गया. Forgot the experiment. Effect of soil pH on the decomposition of bags made from starch. ठीक है. आप क्या कह सकते हैं? Choose the same area, same type of soil. इसके अलावा same mass and also surface area of all the blocks. These should be the same. उसके बाद temperature must be controlled. Other than that, same volume of fertilizer डाले हम, same volume of fertilizer, same target. Other than that, yeah, repeat the experiment. वहां जाके बैठ गए बस. Now take the average. For more reliable data. इस तरह बस क्या होगा? You would get more reliable data. The diagram shows a nephron from a human kidney with parts labeled A, B, C, and D. Use the diagram and your own knowledge of kidney function to answer these questions. Where does ultrafiltration take place? So ultrafiltration आपके पास होती है Bowman's capsule में. A would be your correct answer. Where does reabsorption of glucose takes place? ये देखिए यहाँ पे क्या होता है? Water. ये जो PCT है, क्या कहते हैं इसको? Proximal convoluted tube. This is where glucose actually is reabsorbed. PCT के अंदर आपके पास glucose reabsorb होती है. Which part responds to change in ADH? ADH में कौन responsible होता है? ना ADH में तो water वाला ही responsible होगा. Because when the ADH enzyme arrives, अभी नहीं, like when the ADH team arrive, it's going to attack the collecting duct because it is targeting H2O. तो कहाँ पे आएगा? On T. A kangaroo rat is a mammal that lives in hot desert regions of America. In kangaroo rats, the tissue surrounding the collecting duct contains a high concentration of ions. Explain how this feature enables kangaroos rats to survive in the डेजर्ट, वो कहते हैं वो जो सराउंडिंग कलेक्टिंग डक्ट है दैट कीप्स द कंसंट्रेशन ऑफ आयरन। अल्लाह जाने, मैं तो ऑस्मोटिक पोटेंशियल इसका देखा भी नहीं कि पेपर जैसे वजह से चल रही है क्या एंड ऑल दैट। वी कैन से दैट explain how this feature enables. Now, most water is saved from being excreted. Save water कैसे सेव किए थे? बाय रीअब्सॉर्बिंग। कहाँ पे होती है रीअब्सॉर्बिंग? इन लूप ऑफ हेनरी एंड कलेक्टिंग डक्ट, दीज आर द टू प्लेसेस। एडीएच एक्टेड ऑन मोहम्मद की कलेक्टिंग डक्ट ना, वो जो है उसकी गाड़ी है एडीएच, ठीक है, एक्ट्स ऑन दी कलेक्टिंग duct. Why the collecting duct? क्योंकि collecting duct is the region where the ADH would act. ADH would create the channel proteins. Channel proteins का नाम क्या होता है? Aquaporin. जो aquaporin होती हैं, those are basically the channel proteins from where the water will come out. Just imagine this is the collecting duct. ADH comes. हाँ, ये उसकी गाड़ी की। Okay. ये है ADH आता है. ADH is going to create some water channels. When ADH creates some water channels, the water is directed outside. And hence this is how the water is reabsorbed. Water आपको क्या हो जाता है? Water is now being reabsorbed. तो जो ADH होता है, ये ADH इस टिश्यू के अंदर प्रेजेंट होता है, and this helps the kangaroo for surviving because kangaroos are not losing water. Kangaroos are not losing the water. Most of it is being reabsorbed and being used inside their own body. Kangaroo rats underground during the day and only come out to feed at night. Underground during the day, come out to feed at night. Explain how this behavior enables kangaroo rats to survive in the desert. अच्छा, अब ये behavior कैसे उनको survive करने में मदद करता है? Well, in day we might have high temperature. In day we have high temperature. ठीक है. Night में क्या होता होगा? In night low temperature. वो survive कर जाते होंगे. इसके अलावा you can say that less dehydration at night. तो at night क्या होगा? Less water loss. तो आपके पास वाटर भी सेव हो रहा है. इसके अलावा at night it's easy to hide from predators. अगर आपने predator से हारना है तो it is at night very very easy. Kangaroo rats rarely drink water. Suggest where they get their water from. तो कहाँ से water मिल रहा है? Internal reactions भी तो होते हैं. What about your own metabolic reactions such as glucose plus oxygen produces CO2 and water? Where would this water be available? ये water कहाँ से आ रहा है? Your internal metabolic reaction. For example, you can mention here respiration. You are producing water inside yourself as well. When you respire, you are producing some water inside you as well. क्योंकि हम पानी को गिरते नहीं रह सकते. So of course, you are actually producing some water inside your own body through some metabolic reactions as well. Moving on. In humans, males are heterogametic because they have two different sex hormones. कौन से? X और Y. Females are homogametic because they have two similar sex chromosomes. ठीक है, ये female can give the sex chromosomes in the body cell of a human male. तो human male के अंदर आपको कौन सा होता है? Just wrote it, X and Y. In birds, females are heterogametic and have a Z chromosome and a W chromosome. What are the sex chromosomes in the body cell of a male bird? तो male bird के अंदर कौन से आएंगे? Obviously, your answer would be, जैसे अब हमें क्या चाहिए? In birds, females are heterogametic. For example, ये female है and this is the male. Female is now heterogametic. In humans, the female was homogametic. Over here, the female is now heterogametic. और males का कहते हैं, males have a Z chromosome. Now, obviously, आपके पास chances क्या है male bird के? If the female is heterogametic, then obviously male would be homogametic. तो male bird के अंदर आपके पास क्या आ जाएगा? जहाँ पे आपके पास same है. For example, ZZ is the correct answer. A male and female bird have 4 offspring. Calculate the probability that these offspring will all be female. तो हम यहाँ पे देख लेते हैं. वो कह रहे हैं उन्होंने 4 offspring हुए थे. ZW and ZZ. ठीक है. So if I combine Z with Z, उसके बाद again Z with Z है. फिर क्या है? Z and W, and then Z and W. To calculate the probability, ये Z इसके साथ, ये Z इसके साथ, ये W इसके साथ, ये W इसके साथ. Why are we not given the probability? Calculate the probability that these offspring will all be female. तो all be female तो हो ही नहीं सकते. You can see कि half of them are male. ठीक है. नहीं, half of them are basically female. This is not humans यार, I'm confusing. ये जो different heterogametic है, in this case these are females and in this case these are males. तो हमें खाने पीने का तो टाइम मिला नहीं था. Just a second. I'll recheck this question as well because answer तो आपके पास 50-50 ही आना होता है. Half of them is male and half of them is female. Human females generally reach puberty between the ages of 11 and 16. At puberty, hormonal changes occur that causes female to start ovulating. The table lists the 4 hormones involved in controlling the menstrual cycle. It also shows the source of secretion and a function of each hormone. Complete the table. This is from reproduction, or very important slide. You have a table as well. ठीक है, वो बहुत important slide है जहाँ पे आपको table मिलेगा in my PPTs, which has all the hormones listed. Do go and check that out. इससे पिछला वाले question में आपको सॉल्व करके भी दे दूंगा सुन. तो where does FSH come from? एक ही ग्लैंड है, पिट्यूटरी ग्लैंड also produces LH, पिट्यूटरी ग्लैंड also produces FSH. ये भी आपके पास पिट्यूटरी ग्लैंड से ही आता है. एस्ट्रोजन का क्या है? एस्ट्रोजन comes from the ovary because progesterone also comes from the ovary. LH का काम क्या होता है? Luteinizing hormone. It causes the release of estrogen. ये क्या करता है? Causes the release of estrogen. Progesterone कहाँ से आता है? Progesterone comes from the ovary. What does progesterone does? Maintains the uterus lining. यहाँ पे भी क्या कहेंगे? Maintains the uterus lining. इसके अलावा another thing, inhibits FSH. क्या करता है? It inhibits FSH. Inhibit का मतलब होता है stopping the production of FSH. So it inhibits the FSH. The chart shows the changes in the level of the 4 hormones during the menstrual cycle. ये हमने देख लिया. दिस द टाइम पीरियड जहाँ पे ओव्यूलेशन हुई है. ये आपके पास मेंस्ट्रुएशन पीरियड था, 6 days था. Each letter P, Q, R and S represents a different hormone. Give the correct letter for each hormone. Now exact thing is given in my PowerPoint presentation. You have to go and look at that graph. तो पहले let's start with the ovulation वाला पीरियड है. ठीक है, अगर मैं कहता हूँ ओव्यूलेशन में what do we know कि कौन कौन से जो प्रोडक्ट्स होते हैं हमारे, they are produced in ovulation. अब ovulation के अंदर if you can see the dotted line R और दूसरी कौन सी लाइन आपके पास है? एक छोटी सी. लेट्स फोकस ऑन द डॉटेड लाइन. तो एक बात तो मैं कंफर्म, द ल्यूटिनाइजिंग हार्मोन इज दैट कॉजेज ओव्यूलेशन. तो जो डॉटेड लाइन है R, R would be your luteinizing hormone because this is what causes ovulation. So let's say right after menstruation, ये वाली P किसकी है? For P. तो P आपके पास क्या होगा? P is the estrogen. P आपके पास क्या है? P would be your estrogen because that has caused the LH. फिर आपने देखना that always remember one thing, LH and estrogen are related, progesterone and FSH are related. ठीक है, FSH can be related with progesterone and LH can be related with estrogen. FSH कब आएगा? You have to remember that when progesterone will arrive, it will stop FSH. ठीक है, तो अगर मैं बात करूँ FSH की, FSH would be arriving at after the ovulation to maintain the uterus lining. ठीक है, और जब प्रोजेस्टेरॉन आ जाएगा, प्रोजेस्टेरॉन इज गोइंग टू डिक्लाइन द एक्टिविटी ऑफ FSH. तो एक बात तो हमारे पास पक्की होगी, Q would be your FSH because that is large number, and जो आपके पास दूसरी लाइन है which is known as S वाली जो लाइन है, ठीक है, वो आपके पास क्या हो जाएगी? प्रोजेस्टेरॉन would be S then and FSH would be Q. How do we know about progesterone and FSH? Because when progesterone arrives, FSH is inhibited. Inhibited का मतलब उसकी production stop हो जाती है from the pituitary gland. Kindly rejoin the meeting. The meeting time is getting over. Rejoin the meeting in 2 minutes. Hurry up.